Okay, but I do want to read this one that does come from the Observer Dispatch. Can I just read it, and then I'll let you guys do your thing here?
Yes.
And I'd love your opinion on it, and the tweets that are out there, and presidential tweets. It's just a crazy world. All right, Trump bashers need a chill pill. 3 of 4 letters in the February 19th OD bashed Donald Trump and everyone around him. It appears that the loony alt-left lib dem progressives are more concerned with trashing Trump while he has only been in office for about a month. We have just been rescued from 8 years of the most economically destructive president in U.S. history. And all the mind-numbed, low-information, clueless Democrats are falling apart. I wonder what, and this is whether it was Chuck Lester, an alien, who wrote this, and I wonder if Chuck could just tell us how he really thinks. We've just been rescued from this 8 years of destruction. A great example of how truly clueless they are. The Keeler Show had a caller who said she was scared and concerned with the cost of the First Lady traveling on a separate plane than the president. But she had no problem with the thankfully former president who ran the deficit to $20 trillion, the failed Affordable Care Act, and the many failed foreign policy blunders that have cost many lives. Maybe the Lib Dem progressive should find a safe space, light some scented candles, pet an animal, and curl up with your thumb and blankie and turn on MSNBC or CNN. Please keep falling apart and writing letters. As the saying goes, better to have people think you're a fool rather than submit a letter and prove it. Signed, Chuck.
Well, when I hear that, the word comes to mind, the word subtle.
Subtle, yes, that's what I was thinking. It's such a nice word with the silent B. This does show you how unbelievably divided we are, right?
Exactly right. That's what I was thinking when you read it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no two ways about it here. This is just pure division.
Yeah. And it seems like every day there's some new revelation about one of his cabinet appointees or about his staff or I think they should step back and give this guy a chance. Let's see what he can do.
Don't you think, though, that this stuff, I mean, okay, and all right, as long as we're going to go down this road, most of these things that have come out are in some way involved. I mean, yes, Sessions forgot that he had met with a Russian ambassador. Okay. The other one, Flynn, as well. I kind of forgot about that. I mean, these are real things that, had they not misstepped, wouldn't exist.
Right.
But the craziness of all of this is the tweeting that happens over the weekend.
I sincerely wish he would stop that. You know, some of this may be. I mean, and I think Brian could address himself to this. There's a certain way you need to conduct yourself as a politician as opposed to a magnate who owns a multi-billion-dollar business. I mean, I have found that the most frustrated people in politics are successful business people because they're used to snapping their fingers, get it done. I don't care who, how, why. I want it on my desk. In politics, we form a subcommittee to look at the various alternatives, then pass it on to the committee.
Well, that's not always the best way to do it, but that seems to be the process.
There's a process. There is a definite process.
And there also is an element here called statesmanship, and I think the president, in his speech last Tuesday,
scored big points right
that
there.
He has that capability, and I hope his handlers work with him and he becomes a. I mean, his speech really didn't say a whole lot different than he'd been saying. It was just the manner in which he brought it up.
And then as the week went on, he wasn't tweeting as the week went on. It seemed until Saturday when he made an outlandish and, if true, unbelievably controversial charge against President Barack Obama.
And that came out of the left field bleachers.
I mean, meanwhile, everybody's like, okay, we got to go on these shows Sunday morning and talk about Sessions. It's like, nope, we don't.
So
after all,
I don't know which news show it was. I try to watch them all on Sunday, or at least listen to them. And one of the guys said, if this is true, this is a huge story. If it's not true, this is a huge story.
Right? It's true. Yeah. All right. In studio is Brian Miller, who is new to the Assembly, and you're. Well, I guess we can't say that anymore because you've been around long enough.
No, I guess I'm an old timer now. I've been here. We're starting our third month.
Third month.
And We're here.
Yeah,
We're
old-timer.
indoctrinated. I'm an old-timer.
Old-timer Brian
Well,
Miller.
I've got to tell you, Brian's a natural. He's taken right to it. He's been a great asset to the region
Well,
here
there's a
and to the
coalition now.
Republican Assembly.
Yes.
Yes.
It seems that
Yes.
you guys are all in. You're all in collusion here.
Well, that's a harsh word to use.
Collusion,
I
but,
talked about diplomacy and tact, Bill. I mean, we're united.
You are united, and I think that's good for upstate. It's good for the region.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. So, are we getting some traction on this SAFE Act issue? What are the thoughts?
You know, I believe we did. I was absolutely blown away by the number of hits we got on the internet and on Facebook. You know, there are some naysayers, nothing but a total repeal, which after 4 years, I think we've realized that just isn't going to happen when we have New York City. There are other people that somehow suspect some kind of collusion, something to let the Senate off the hook because they get blamed for passing it the first time through in the middle of the night. So none of that's true. As I've told you, and you've been very good about listening to me go on and on.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
Well, the notion came to me when we passed the minimum wage law. They had a different program for downstate and upstate. I said, this acknowledges that, you know, maybe we need to start looking at things differently. Look, as New York State has developed, New York City has, you look at the demographics, their population has grown. That means less political clout upstate. They have more population. They're a financial capital. They're a powerful economic development engine. We're scratching for whatever we can get in upstate, and there's a lot of differences. And it's Bill, it's a culture. It's what you believe. And if I lived in New York City, I'd probably be frightened of firearms too. But upstate, we learn differently.
Is there, and I'll throw this at Brian, there's a bill in the Senate too, right? Is Senator Griffo behind a bill? Is that a full repeal, or is it the same type of thing that you guys are working on?
No, it's the same. It's the same bill. It's Senator Ort is proposed it out of the Senate.
We spoke with him, yeah.
And like Mark said, there's two different cultures here.
Right.
And we started working on this. Well, Mark started working on it last year.
Yeah.
You know, right now you have a different minimum wage.
Right.
For upstate and downstate. So it's saying that the culture is different. Sure. Uber is okay downstate. We haven't passed it upstate yet.
You're right.
So this fits right into this.
And Bill, I just wanted to say, as we were discussing this, number one, the pistol permitting process is completely different for New York City.
Right.
And as we actually pull this bill apart, there are other differences, Westchester and Long Island and New York City. But I think the point we wanted to make is when this came into effect 4 years ago, all of us legislators, or most of us upstate, we would go to these rallies and these gatherings and these groups and shake our fists. We're going to do something about this. We're going to do something about this. And we all drafted bill after bill after bill. I've got a couple repeal bills. I've got a bill that would change the way a assault weapon is identified to hopefully benefit Remington Arms.
If you're a gun enthusiast, the wording is, they'll say the wording's wrong. Those aren't assault rifles.
But the way it works in Albany, if they don't want it to pass, they go to a committee and bury it. So in our view, I mean, we're churning out these bills, many of us, various iterations of a repeal bill and attacking various aspects of it, and then they just die in committee. Yeah. So to the public, to the man on the street, the perception is, you guys talked a lot, but you never did anything about this. And our thought was, geez, we put in bill after bill after bill. They just don't go anywhere. So this time I think we need to,
there seems to be some traction.
An assault on the political process in Albany.
Traction. All right, so on this SAFE Act issue, you're speaking of the same type of difficult relationship with Republicans and this governor right now.
Well, actually, I think there's a difficult relationship with the full legislature right now.
And the governor. Even Democrats.
Which, to my way of thinking, may open up an avenue. We're discussing, and again, people come out, they have a big press conference, and frankly, because we have a majority senator sponsor, I think we got pretty good attention, but people are getting cynical. You do this big press announcement, and then you're on TV and in the newspapers, and then we never hear another word about it. that's got to be just the opening shot. We're talking about maybe try to make it part of the budget negotiations. We're going to be sure that
school issues different downstate, upstate.
Yep. We're going to be sure that we track this through the committee process so that we know where this bill is, and when it's coming up on the floor or up for a consideration, we'll try and pack the room.
Yeah.
We are actually starting this week a road show talking about all these issues to assure people that this time we want to see this through the end and hopefully be successful.
And Brian, are you saying full repeal?
I don't think we can do a full repeal. Full repeal on this. If we could, we'd jump right into it. I think the way that we're doing it right now, we'll take the 5 parts out of it, and we're working on it that way. Just the parts that make sense, and then move along.
And make some headway,
because we're not going to ever get a full repeal on this. Through both
especially through the assembly. So,
but Bill, as we've tried to say, I mean, yes, the SAFE Act is kind of the poster child for this disconnect between upstate and downstate, but there are many other issues, and as I've said, things in New York have changed, and only recently, since the 70s and 80s, we've had this. There's always been kind of an equal relationship, and it's kind of changed over the last. And I think we need to acknowledge that, and I think there are other opportunities with all kinds of legislation to, maybe applied differently. There are a lot of bills that are passed or proposed that will affect our farmers, unionizing farm workers. Mm-hmm. The minimum wage increase is hurting them.
Well, there's another, by the way, the minimum wage, it's another area where it's a different downstate than it is.
Well, and they
differently.
did acknowledge that, but, when their food prices start to go up, they're going to be wondering why, and they shot themselves in the foot.
Gentlemen, we appreciate it. So let's see where this whole thing goes.
Thanks for having us.
I'm optimistic. Brian Miller and Mr. Marc Butler. We appreciate it.